All right, let's officially start. Welcome to today's session. This webinar is titled The 10-Minute Investor. I am excited that you are here. This is going to be a great session. I already know. I know this is going to be a great session. I'm excited that you are here. My name is Brian D'Amico. I'll introduce myself more later on, but I really know that this is going to be a great session because I've been here teaching at VectorVest as an investing coach for over 20 years. The information that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I've seen firsthand how it's helped people improve their investing results. Right? They work with me on a weekly basis, and the things that I'm teaching you here today are the same things that I've taught them for the last 20 years. And if it's helped them, I know it's going to help you. So I'm super excited about today's webinar because I get to show you how to protect and grow your stock portfolio in as little as 10 minutes a day on average. Now, just so you know, that's an average. There's going to be some days where it might be 5 minutes. There's going to be some other days where you might have a buying signal and yet you're going to put together a list of stocks and prepare to buy some stocks the next day. So maybe that day might be 25 minutes. But on average, 10 minutes a night, you can manage your portfolio and still be successful. And my promise to you is that if you do follow the steps that we discussed today, right? If you follow these steps that we discussed today, you'll know how to invest with confidence and consistently outperform the market in less than 10 minutes a day, right? I do like to remind people that this is not a day trading webinar. So when I say 10 minutes a day, it's not a 10-minute trade. In other words, you're not going to get in at 11 o'clock and get out at 11:10. We are not day trading here. It's where, think about it, where you're relaxing at night and you're checking your portfolio, you manage it in 10 minutes and then you're done. You move on to the next day. Now, just so you know a little bit about me, my name is Brian D'Amico. I'm one of the investing coaches here at VectorVest. I've been here since 2001. What I do on a daily and weekly basis is I help people improve their investing results and gain confidence in themselves that they can be a pretty good investor, right? A successful investor, to actually buy stocks and have them go up and know what to do if they don't go up, because not every trade's going to go up, right? You'll know that you are in control of things. Years ago, it almost feels like another lifetime ago, I used to be a third grade teacher, and some of that teaching style does flow through into these webinars. I think it actually helps you because it's going to teach you in a way that hopefully you'll understand it better. I also love to have fun while I'm teaching. I love to use interactive slides or slides with imagery while I'm trying to convey concepts. I also love to interact with you. I will interact with you quite a bit throughout today's session. So if you've been like a wallflower so far and you haven't been typing to me into the chat, hopefully that'll liven up as we go through today's session. I also promise I'm going to give you everything I possibly can for the next 60 minutes that we've got together. Like I said, we only got about 60 minutes, so I gotta give you as much as I can in these 60 minutes. I do wish we had more time because I mean there's a ton of things that we could cover, but in the time that we've got, I'm going to give you everything that I can. And what I'll do at the end of the hours, I'm going to show you where to go to get more help if you do want it. So that'll be an offer at the end showing you where to go to get more help. And then you can go enjoy the rest of your week, right? So for the next hour, let's really kick it into high gear here. So if that sounds good to you and you're ready to go, give me a big yes in the chat or an A-OK, like Joseph typed into the chat. He's like, big yes. So we're ready to go. All right, great. I usually like to begin the sessions by letting you know if you're in the right place, because sometimes you sign up for a webinar and it's like the totally wrong webinar for you. Maybe you signed up and you thought it was a day trading webinar and you'd be in and out in 10 minutes. Well, I like to let you know that up front. So you are in the right place today if you're tired of buying stocks only to see them drop right after you buy them. You know, sometimes it feels like there's that little devil sitting on your shoulder just waiting for you to hit the buy button. You're in the right place if maybe you're frustrated because you don't know when to sell. Maybe you've had profitable trades, but then you watch them turn around and become losers because you didn't know when to sell them. Maybe you feel you don't have enough time to manage your stocks. You're just like crunched for time. Or maybe you just don't have any confidence in yourself that you can actually make money in the market all you really want is just a simple way to buy the right stocks at the right time. If so, you're in the right place, because today you're going to learn some very important things as we go through today's session. The biggest thing that we're going to start off with is moving you from being inconsistent to where you are getting consistent gains. The first thing we need to do is identify the mistakes that you're making. So I will show you what those mistakes are so you can identify them. Now, just by knowing what the mistakes are, you'll be able to correct them. But I'm also going to give you the 5 steps that you need to be doing to get consistent gains. So that'll be the first thing that we cover. Then we're going to move into how the top investors pick stocks. This is where I'll give you a 3-part stock buying checklist. In that section, I'll show you what to look for. We'll actually look at examples. And then you and I are going to do it together. That's actually a really cool part about today's session. We're actually going to get into the tool that I use. We're going to look for some stocks. And the idea is after today's webinar, you're actually going to have a list of stocks. So that's another reason to have a pen and paper handy, is because we're going to write down a list of ticker symbols that you'd actually consider buying as long as the market conditions are right, where the market's going up. And we'll talk more about that as we go through today's session. Like I said, I think that's a really cool part about today's webinar. You'll have a list of stocks that you'd consider buying. Then what we'll do is we'll put it all together into a trading plan so you know how to manage a portfolio in 10 minutes a day. It's the same routine that our clients use. And one of our clients actually summed it up well by telling us that this routine helped him going from being stressed and overwhelmed to where he confidently approaches the market each day and has been able to turn his portfolio around. Okay, now I do really want you to stick to the end because we have so many great things to cover. And if you do, I'll give you a template that you can print out right away. It's a PDF to help you write down your own trading plan. So of course, I'm going to give you a trading plan in today's session, but you can use this printout, this PDF that I'll put right into the chat. But you got to remind me when we get to the Q&A at the very end of the session, just say, hey, Brian, don't forget about the PDF, or don't forget about the trading plan, something like that. All right. I might not be able to get to all of your questions as you type them in throughout the session. I'll do as many as I can. But what I promise you is at the end, I always stick around for a Q&A and answer whatever questions you've got. So when we do get to that Q&A, just remind me for that PDF. Here's one of those times for interaction. I told you I like to interact with you. I usually only give about 60 seconds for interaction because I like to keep a good pace. In the chat, what's been the hardest part for you about making money in the market? All right, so in the chat, let me know what's been the hardest part for you about making money in the stock market. Ted, you were the first one in. Ted, right out of the gate, says, when to sell. Sultan says, timing. Now, do you mean timing your entries, timing your exits, or both? Anthony says, picking winners. Jim says, when to buy. Right? When to buy probably the individual stock itself or just when to get into the market. Hesman says, picking fortunate stocks. So similar to Anthony, right? Trying to find the stocks that it would be winners or have a high probability of being a winner. Peter says, when to buy and sell. John says, getting started. This is great. Now, see, now that everybody's starting to type in. Glenda says, my chat doesn't work. I'm all new. Glenda, it's working perfectly because you just typed into the chat. That's perfect. Jenna says, when to get out of stock. So another when to sell. So as you can hear, there's a lot of investors who are like saying similar things and similar things to you. So there's a lot of people in the same boat as you. Now, I'm not going to kill you with stats here, but a lot of people wonder if they're like the only one who's losing money. But it might be comforting to know that most individual investors fail because they don't know how to do it right. And that's why you're here today, to learn how to do it right. In Europe, brokers actually have to state on their website the percentage of their clients who are losing money. And on average, 76% of investors are negative, and they actually put that on their website. Research also shows that the average investor underperforms the S&P. So over a 30-year period, the S&P averaged just over 10%, while the average investor is returning about 7%. And if you consider inflation, your real returns are under 5%. And when this happens, it causes you to start to like curse the market. You might even label yourself a failure. You feel like giving up. But if you do this right, that's when you're going to not have to stress about your trades. You'll know that you've got things under control, whether a trade goes for you or against you. And a cool thing is you'll be able to trade with confidence. So to do that, let's jump right in and look at how to move from inconsistent to consistent gains. All right, the first thing that we need to do is fix the mistakes that you're making that are causing you to be inconsistent. The way I see it, there's actually 4 big mistakes that cause you to be inconsistent. It's extremely important that you understand this, or you'll never be able to fix things. All right, the first mistake is that you think of the money first. Now, you might think, wait a minute, Brian. I want to make money. That's the whole point of investing. While that's true for any profession, I want you to think about this. Do all professionals think of money first when they're doing their job? For example, how would you feel if you were sitting in the dentist chair getting ready to have a cavity filled or some other work done on your teeth, and you knew you're looking up at the dentist and that dentist was just thinking about how much money he's making off of you? Now, I wouldn't feel great. Do you think the dentist would be doing his best work? No. He should be thinking about doing his job well. I want you to write this down. Successful people go into work and concentrate on doing their job well. That's a key statement. If you are successful with your job, that means you're doing your job well. If you do your job well, you get paid for the good work you do. Now, there's a great book out there called Trading for a Living, right? I didn't write it. It was a gentleman named Dr. Alexander Elder. I'm sure you could pick it up on Amazon. It's called Trading for a Living. It is a great book. Part of that book, he talks about, well, the whole book, he talks about investing. But in one part, he spends a good amount of time talking about the psychology of what it takes to be a good investor. The point is that successful traders don't treat trading / investing, right? You can, just because I use the word traders, it's also investing. So successful investors don't treat investing or trading as a hobby. They treat it as a job. Just like a dentist and just like all of you with your job, you think about doing your job well. And if you do your job well, the money will follow as a result. So your goal as a trader / investor is to make the best trades. Write that down, underline it, star it. My goal is to make the best trades. And if you make the best trades, money will follow from that. If you take care of the process, the scoreboard takes care of itself. And we're going to look at exactly how to make the best trades later on in today's webinar. But if you're thinking about the money, that's what causes you to be emotional, especially when the market is up one day, down the next, up and down. There's a lot of emotional trades going on. And when you're emotional, that's when you make bad decisions. Just like, I think we've all probably had a little bit of road rage at one point. When you do suffer from this, right, you're not making rational decisions. And the same thing is true with investing. If you're emotional, you make bad decisions. I mean, think about it. I'm going to give you a little quiz and just jot down and let me know in the chat if you've ever said any one of these things. Number 1, I know it's down now, but it'll come back. Have you ever said that? Let me know in the chat. Like, yeah, I've said that one. Ted's like, yeah, LOL, yes, he says. It's already down 20%. I might as well hold on to it now. Now, you could replace 20% with, it's already down 40%. I might as well hold on to it. Yeah, Dennis and Anthony and Eve says, yes, I've got a profit, but if I close it now, it'll probably keep going up. What about this one? I know I lost more than I really wanted to, but if I close it now, it's probably just going to go up tomorrow. Or lastly, The last time I sold a stock, it kept going up. So I'm not selling it now. Exactly. So Anthony's like, naturally. Jim's like, yes. These statements are all emotional statements of like frustration, fear, greed, despair, hope. And if you're thinking any of these things before, during, or after your trades, you're not going to be successful. What we need to build in a system. You need to have a system which eliminates this. So mistake number one, that's the one that is more psychological. And I know we spent a good amount of time on that, but I'm telling you, that is the most important thing, to go from being an emotional trader that you're stuck in your head to where you are following a mechanical system. All right, so now we're going to get into the mechanics. The second mistake that people make is they buy stocks that are going down. Now, it could be going down over the past year. It could be going down over the past month, the past week, or it could even be going down that day. Unfortunately, this happens a lot because it's what you've been told or taught to do. A lot of people feel they don't have the skills or the knowledge to invest on their own. So what do? They turn to the gurus, whether they be gurus on TV, gurus who send them stuff in the mail, whatever. They turn to the gurus, and the gurus are telling people to buy stocks that are falling because they say, hey, it's cheaper now than it was before. Or now that it's down, we could buy more shares of it. And I know you own some of it, but now that it's lower, we could dollar cost average as it keeps falling. Let me show you what ends up happening a lot of times when you do this. This is actually a real life example. I know it's from some time ago, but I love this example because it's a real example and it teaches so many important concepts of what we're trying to get across here. One of our clients, when he first came to us, and we do weekly coaching here at VectorVest, but he came to us and he showed me this stock. So let's talk about this. First off, it's a graph of a typical stock that you might get told to buy because it's low. And if I get my laser pointer out here, you see down here, it might be considered low. And people say, well, how much lower can it go? Well, I mean, it's trading at 12. It could go to 0, right? But people are told, well, let's get in now and let's ride this thing back all the way up to where it was before. Well, the same investors who tell you to buy it here were the same people telling you to buy it back here, 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 and here, and just continue to keep riding that thing all the way down. During this coaching session that we had with our client here, he came to this weekly coaching, and let me also state, basically we get together with our clients several times throughout the week, but on Thursday specifically, we talk about what we're talking about here in today's webinar. And he came to that Thursday session and he typed this into the chat box, just like you're here today and you chat into the chat. This is what it would look like for us. He typed into the chat, his name is Steve. He typed in, what do you think about Windstream? I just bought it 2 days ago. So he bought it here, 2 days prior, which was that last green candle right here. And it's a classic example of being taught to buy stocks that are moving down. Now, the good thing is, after we talked to Steve for a little bit, he typed this into the chat. He said, I'm selling it now. Now, we will talk more about why he sold it in just a little bit. But the point I'm trying to get across here is when you buy stocks that are going down, they typically continue to drop. For example, Windstream, after he sold it, it dropped another 10%. So it was a good thing he sold it. And I just happened to look at it, over the next several months and years, it continued to fall about another 60%. And then I looked back at it years later, just for, because I was teaching another webinar, and Windstream was actually filed for bankruptcy and was trading at 20 cents. And you can see that way over here. Imagine if Steve didn't sell it on each of these little upswings that you see, like this little upswing and this little upswing. You just get so hopeful, right? You're like, oh, now's the time it's coming back, only to have your hopes crushed. And then you're still holding on to this stock, right? Has that ever happened to you? You just get hopeful thinking now's the time it's coming back. What I'm trying to get across here, kind of a big point, is if you know the right buying criteria, all of that could be avoided. So keep this in mind. What you see in the past is most likely what will happen in the future. And if you're buying stocks that have been falling in the past, don't be surprised that they continue to fall. That's one of the big reasons people also make this third mistake, which is you tend to hold on to losing trades too long. You might have been in the same shoes as Steve, where you bought a stock and right after you bought it, it starts to fall. And then you're like, well, it'll come back. But then you end up holding on to that losing trade thinking, well, I couldn't have been wrong on this one. I mean, it'll definitely come back. Or worse, you're like, well, let me buy more of it. One of the worst things that you could do is buy a stock and not have an exit plan. It's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. You actually want to know how and when you will exit a trade before you even enter it. If it goes for you, you want to know what you're going to do. And if it goes against you, you want to know what your exit plan is. Looking back at Windstream, a lot of investors would have just sat on that trade, hoping it would come back, and then they find that they're still holding it years later. It's so emotionally draining to have those things in your portfolio, right? If you look at your portfolio and you see something that's like -60, -70%, it's like a constant reminder that you're bad at something. And there's also that opportunity cost of not being able to put that money to work for you in a trade that's actually going up. So we don't want that to happen. So you're not going to buy stocks that are going down anymore. And when you get into a trade, you're going to have an exit plan. Now, the fourth mistake causing people to lose money is they ignore the market direction. This is huge. For years, the gurus taught investors that buy and hold is the way to go. Unfortunately, this causes a roller coaster ride for your portfolio. And I think most of us has probably been on a roller coaster where when you're on the roller coaster, you know how when it starts out, it's like click, 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 click. It's like slow going up. And then when it goes down, it's vroom, super fast, right? And that's for a lot of people's portfolio, that's what it's like. It's slow going up and fast coming down, right? I'm guessing there's people in this room today who held stocks or even mutual funds through things like the dot-com bubble when it burst or the global financial crisis, and maybe even through COVID, just to name the three biggest ones of our lifetime. Now, granted, over time, there's an upwards bias to the market. So some people say, well, let me just buy and hold. But yeah, maybe if that's like a 30-year plan, right? But let's look at a couple of these scenarios because you're not always going to be nailing the bottom. What if you got in somewhere in here and you're then holding on to your portfolio, hoping that 7 years later you get back to break even? And then what if you got back to break even and then you live through the global financial crisis and then you have to wait 5.5 years later to get back to break even? During the global financial crisis, the average mutual fund fell 40%. Some people left the market totally with this big loss. If you lose 40%, you got to gain 66% to get back to break even. And then even through COVID, the S&P dropped 34%, and it took 6 months to recover that. And even today, we're still not back to where we were 2.5 years ago. So how long is that going to take? Let me ask you, which of these mistakes has cost you the most? So in the chat, of the four that we looked at here, the four biggest ones that we've identified, in the chat, just let me know, number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4. And if you could guesstimate, how much do you think it cost you? I had some people in some webinars when we teach this, they're like, you know what, holding on to a losing trade cost me $100,000. I mean, for you, maybe you ignored the market direction and you watched your portfolio drop 40%, and it's your entire portfolio and you just lost a couple of $100,000. So I'm seeing in the chat Tom says holding losers too long. Anthony, number 2. Ted, 2 and 3. Dennis, number 4. Don't worry, nobody else can see what you're typing in, and I'm not reading out your last name. All right, so Jim and Peter say number 3. Dio says ignoring the market direction. D says holding too long. I lost 90%. It was like $6,000. Jerry says I lost over $1 million in 2002. Inflation cost me $30,000 because I did not invest. Yeah, so Robert, we got to learn how to invest the right way, right? Now, I could keep going and reading these, but you get the idea that these mistakes can be very costly. So those are the mistakes, but I want you to understand this. What's the big underlying problem? It's that the model that you've been using to invest is broken. You've been taught a broken investing model. To fix it, we need to install the correct system. And I want to share with you the system that we use with our clients. It's the same system that we teach and support with our live coaching every week. And I'm going to just tell you exactly what it is. So if you still have your pencil and paper handy, we're going to draw this out together. So I like to conceptualize this first to lay out what the system is. So first off, I like to draw it out as a triangle because it actually leads down to 2 main things, right? So that you see how the triangle is pointing down. So there's going to be 2 big end results that it's going to give us, okay? The first part of our system, the first part, well, by the way, there's going to be 5 parts. So you can just, on the triangle, give yourself space. We're going to have 5 sections. First, you want to analyze any of the stocks that you own. So let's just call that stock analysis. If you don't have stocks now, that's fine. You can look at stocks that you've owned in the past. There's 3 main things that you want to focus on. Because in investing, you could get buried with data. Right? We don't want to get buried with data. Let's focus on 3 main things. Okay, just focus on 3 things at first. Number 1, and I'm going to write this out here. Number 1, we're going to focus on, I'm just going to put E for earnings. Okay, we're going to focus on earnings. Is the company making money? Are the earnings rising? So we want the company to be, earnings to be rising and positive. Number 2, what else are we going to focus on when we're analyzing a stock? Is the price of the stock over its value? So I'm just going to do price, the little greater than sign, if you remember when you were in school, and V. Price is over its value. Sorry, price is under its value. Price over its value. Is price over or under its value? We don't want price over its value. So cross that out. Thank you. Those of you who are paying attention, you're probably like, what, Brian? I don't want price to be over the value. All right, so cross that out. I actually probably have a way to erase that. We want price to be less than the value. Why do we want, so picture this. If this is value, we want the price to be somewhere down here. Because what we've found, and we've been doing this for decades, what we've found is that over time, price and value tend to meet. So many times, price goes to meet value. If price is already underneath its value, price will have that pressure, that upwards pressure to go up and meet its value. Okay, so we want earnings to be positive and ideally price to be less than value. Okay, so ideally. And then number 3 is the stock's price trend. Whoops, that's an ugly 3. We want the stock's price to be in an uptrend. Remember earlier, we don't want to buy stocks that are falling anymore. So we want price to be going up as well. So price and earnings to be going up. By the way, we're going to take a look at several stock graphs in a minute and find stocks that look like this. The second thing that we're going to do, the second part of our system, is you want to take those stocks that you own and you want to know your exits. There's so many people who own stocks and they have no exit plan in mind. You need to make sure that every stock that you own has a stop in place to minimize your risk and prevent you from holding on to losers too long. So you want to know your exits. And we actually, in our weekly coaching with our clients, we have an entire section dedicated. We call it weeding your portfolio, where if you have an existing position, we spend some time. We don't have the time right now to go through it, but we take existing stocks and we say, all right, where you need to have a stop in place. And for a lot of stocks that are going down, if you have a stock in your portfolio that's been going down and down, you've got to set a line in the sand, typically right below the most recent low, and just rip that Band-Aid off if it falls below it. But you got to know your exits. On new trades, here at VectorVest, we have a stop price that we use. That is our line in the sand on new trades. Now, the third part of your system is before you go out and buy something new, you don't want to ignore the market's direction. So you want a definite signal to make sure that you know when the market, like the overall market, is rising. So you know it's okay to be buying. Now, some people use moving averages on the S&P. That's not the best thing that we've found. I'll show you the signal that we use. But you want a buying signal that tells you whether it's okay or not to buy that day. Okay, so a buying signal. Now, fourth, once you know it's okay to buy and you know the market's going up, you want to buy good stocks. Okay? You don't want to buy stocks that are going down, so you want to find good quality stocks that are rising in price for your portfolio. You want a technique that finds those stocks that are likely to go up and not down. So first off, remember you did stock analysis, those 3 things that we looked at here? That's going to be your starting point for your good stocks. But you also want an easy way to find them, because you could get buried with, there's thousands of stocks out there. I'm going to show you how we find our stocks in just a few minutes here. And then lastly, remember, you don't want to trade emotionally. So you want a written plan that you follow and you know works. Not just a plan, but a written down plan. By using these 5 steps like this in order, when you go through these 5 things, it leads you to trade with 2 results, and they both begin with the letter C. You trade with confidence. I'm not going to write out the whole thing. I'll just put confidence or conf. It leads you to trade with confidence. And the other thing you're going to notice will happen is you're going to start to see consistency. Consistent gains over time. The first thing that you want to do is focus in on the area where you're lacking. So let's do this. If you take out your pen and put a little star next to where you are good. For example, you might actually have a buying signal. You might have something that works for you that says, oh yeah, the market's in an uptrend. So maybe give yourself a little star there. Okay, maybe every one of your stocks in your portfolio has a stop in place right now. Maybe you have a star there. If not, you'd give yourself a frown, right? It's either a frown or a star. If you don't know what a good stock looks like, maybe that would be a frown for you. So kind of give yourself, it's very quick and dirty. Just like, don't overthink this. Star or frown. Okay? Let me ask you, what did you just learn about your investing strategy? What area do you need to focus on first? So the answer to that is the first box where you see a frown. So if you're going down like this, in the chat, let me know, where is your first frown? Is it in stock analysis? Is it in knowing your exits? Is it your buying signal? Where would you see your first frown in there? Where do you need to focus on first? So Dennis is all the way down at the written plan. Cool. All right. That's a really important part. Yeah, the written plan helps you remove emotion. Anthony says all the way up at the top, the stock analysis. Ted, knowing my exit. Tom says I got frowns all the way down. Jim says stock analysis. Yeah, so wherever you got your first frown, that's where you spend the most time, or the time at first, and then you keep building on your way down. Now that we know the overall system, that's like the big picture of the 5, there's 5 steps there. In the time that we've got today, I want you to walk away from today's webinar knowing, if I go back to this, knowing full well what a good stock looks like and how to find it, What the nightly plan is was, I mean, the webinar is titled The 10-Minute Investor. We're going to spend a good amount of time on these here. As we go through this good stock thing, you're going to start to see how we do stock analysis as well. Okay. And you'll visually see our stop price that we use. And I'll quickly mention the buying signal, but we'll spend most of our time on the bottom too. Okay. Let's do it. All right. So number 2, let's dig deeper. And we're going to look more closely at how to pick stocks to buy. In fact, I'm going to show you how the top investors pick their stocks. Now, obviously, not everyone is a top investor. What is holding everyone back from being a top investor? Well, most of the problem isn't your fault. First, you might just get buried by data. A lot of places out there actually tout how much data they dump on you. Take a look at this. I actually got this in the mail one day, and I'm like, man, I got to take a picture of this and show it to our clients. Because I got this in the mail, and it was something saying, hey, check this out. And it says, this is a sample report. It's like timely data and analysis for sound investment decisions. I mean, can you imagine reading all that data? I mean, it's no wonder investors are confused when it comes to which stocks are good. I mean, what do you look at there? The other problem is people are spending so much time because you're not given the right tools. You're not given an easy way to find the best stocks. You're left struggling. It's like giving a mechanic the wrong wrench for the job. He'll spend forever doing the job and probably get poor results. And then you've got the gurus out there telling you that you need to spend a lot of time on each of your stocks. In fact, Kramer says homework means committing 1 hour per week per stock. Much less than that, and you might as well be gambling. I mean, the average person who hears that is like, man, I don't have the time to do that. I've got 10 stocks in my portfolio. I can't be spending 10 hours a week doing this. They end up saying things like, well, I'll just turn to a financial advisor and let them try and do it for me. When you do this wrong, you end up suffering from analysis paralysis. You spend hours upon hours poring over all of that data that the market throws at you, and you sometimes end up never making a decision. You're frozen. Plus, when you spend a lot of time staring at something, sometimes you end up convincing yourself you see something that really isn't there. You're like, oh man, I think I see a cup and handle pattern there. Or look at this candlestick formation. Or you start convincing yourself you're seeing something that's not really there. When you do this right, and you know what to look at, you'll be able to look at a graph and quickly know whether you should buy that stock or not. And let me show you exactly what to look for to get what you want. It all starts with this quote: good portfolio management starts with buying the right stocks. And it's just like a sports team. If you fill a team with great players, just by having great players on that team, the team's going to do well. Whether you manage it well or not, the team will do well just because it's got great players. So by filling your portfolio with really good stocks, just those good stocks alone will help you perform better over time. And then if you start to manage it well, it's really going to stack things for you. Here's the checklist that we teach our clients to use when looking for stocks to buy. This is that 3-part stock buying checklist that we talked about earlier. You don't have to feverishly write this down, by the way, because we're going to go through it one by one. And then at the end, I'm going to recap this slide and show it to you again. So don't feel like if you miss it, you missed it forever. First, you want to look for stocks whose price is steadily rising and not volatile. Number 2, you want to make sure the company is making money and growing their earnings. And number 3, you should favor undervalued stocks, right? Price under the value. The first 2 are going to be the most important. The third one is going to be like a tiebreaker. Okay, here's a little quiz for you. Now, sometimes I sway your feelings on this quiz because we just have been here for about a half an hour and you're like, Brian wants me to answer a certain way, so I'm just going to tell him the answer that he's looking for. Let's see. Here's 3 graphs. And by the way, these are 1-year graphs. We always teach our clients to start off with a 1-year chart and then you can expand it out. But start with a 1-year chart. I want you to look at these 3 things. Number 1, number 2, number 3. And if you could only pick one of these today to buy, which one would you feel the most comfortable buying today? In the chat, just give me a quick 1, 2, or 3. Now you could also in the chat, like which one would you, if before you came to today's session, would you have bought? All right, everybody is typing in 3. Pesman, Jerry, Dennis, Jim, Eves, Sarah, Sultan, Glenda. Yeah, everybody's typing in 3, right? Exactly. You choose number 3 because it's not volatile and it's already going up in price, right? So here's 1-year graph, bottom left, upper right, smooth and steady, not very volatile. It's doing what you want it to do. What you see in the past is most likely what will happen in the future. We refer to these types of stocks as sleep at night stocks because they help you sleep better at night knowing that they are in your portfolio. If you look over here at stock number 2, what do you see? A lot of volatility. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, down, it's up, and there's a big gap. There's another gap. There's a lot of gaps in here, but look at these swings, right? Now, some people see this and they're like, but Brian, this is actually in an uptrend right now. It's hitting higher lows and some higher highs. Hey, I'll grant you that, right? It's actually in an uptrend, and like if somebody bought it here, maybe it'll continue that uptrend. But you know what it will also continue? Volatility. Right? It might go up over time, but you know what you're going to have to live through? I'm just going to draw it down here. It will do one of these jobbies, even if it did go up, and there's no guarantee that it will. And if you can't handle those trades, some people find that with that volatility, they sell when it shoots down and then they never get back in and experience the uptrend. So if that's not something you want, then you should just move on to another stock. And then with stock number 1, well, we've already talked about this one. It's already falling. A lot of people think, I'm going to buy it here. And they think they're catching it at the bottom. But like I said before, a lot of people thought the same thing here, 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 and they're still holding on to that thing. Okay? Yeah, Jerry got it right. That number 1 is like trying to catch the falling knife. In addition to stocks that are rising in price, like number 3, we want to look for companies that are growing their earnings. The second thing on the checklist is to buy companies that are making money and growing their earnings. Here on the graph, I've added EPS, which stands for earnings per share. I told you I work for a company called VectorVest, and VectorVest actually calculates a forecasted earnings per share, which makes it very easy for me. Right? I don't have to go to Yahoo Finance or dig through a bunch of earnings reports or anything like that. All I have to do is pull up a graph in VectorVest and look at this EPS and look to see if this blue line is going higher over time. It makes it super simple. When a company's earnings is rising, that company can grow. It can put money back into research and development. We've found that companies with rising earnings have stock prices that tend to go higher. Think about it. Wouldn't you rather invest in a company that's making money and making more and more money every year? What you're looking at here, this is actually a 10-year chart to illustrate that point. Now, like I said before, we typically start by looking at a 1-year chart and then we expand it to like 5. Some people are afraid to buy stocks that are hitting a new high. Like here's price hitting a new high. That's a common thing. They're like, I can't buy the stock now. It's at a new high. Well, then they say, well, I'll wait for a pullback. When people say that, they're making the mistake of buying stocks that are falling. When you buy a stock waiting for a pullback, and if you think about this, people who are afraid to buy it now at like 300, they're the same people who are afraid to buy it back here at 200. Same people who are afraid to buy it back here at 150 when it was hitting a new high here, hitting a new high here, hitting a new high here. I want you to shift your thinking. Ready? Key point. Listen to this. Think about it this way. The price right now, even though it's hitting a new high, might actually be low. Okay? Because it might be 500, 600 in the future. And then the third thing is to favor undervalued companies. right? Where the price is under the value. And again, I'm using a VectorVest graph because it's easy. It calculates the value for me. Over time, we found that a stock's price and its value meet, and most of the time, price will go to meet its value. So you want to favor stock prices that are below the value. So if two stocks are identical in every other way, one is under its value, one is over its value, you would pick the one that is under its value. So this checklist alone will make you a better investor over time. We're going to do this together in just a moment. And if you remember Steve from earlier, he was the one who decided to sell Windstream after we talked to him for a few minutes. Well, I told you I'd tell you what we talked to him about. Well, we said, Steve, let's put this stock that you just bought through the 3-part stock buying checklist. And he realized that his stock met none of the criteria. Price was falling. Earnings was falling. Price was over the value. It met none of the criteria. Instead of doing it that way, here are 3 real-life examples of what could happen when you do it the right way. When you follow the checklist, you could do things like this. And I'm going to show you 3 examples from our portfolio that my co-coach, Todd, who's in the background answering your questions in the chat, he and I work with our clients every week, and we track a paper portfolio with our clients. And we show people how they can implement this system that you're learning here today. You don't really need to pay attention to the ticker symbol. Just focus on the patterns. Smooth rising price, entry with rising earnings. This was a 6% gain in 2 months. Okay? Here's another one. Rising price, hitting a new high here. Rising earnings, 15% in about a month. This one was about 17%, but the key is, all you got to look for rising price, rising earnings, 17% in about almost 2 months. The point is that there's tons of stocks out there that meet the criteria that I just showed you. And when you combine that with the right entry and exit rules, you're able to stack winners like this over time. And the ones that don't work out, you minimize your losses. That's how you're going to consistently grow your account each year. How do you find stocks like that, you ask? Let me show you how we do it, okay? Let me show you how we do it. I'm going to use a tool that our clients use. It's called VectorVest. That's the same as the company. In the chat, are you ready to find some stocks? Do you have your pen and paper handy? Are you ready? All right, because we're going to open up VectorVest. And inside of VectorVest, we track over 9,000 stocks here in the US. And we're going to go through and I'm going to show you what we do. Okay, so what I'm going to, some of you might even have access to this tool right now, but let me open up VectorVest. Now, the screen that you're looking at right now, there's a bunch of stuff on it. I don't want you to get lost in the shuffle here, but I do want to point out our general market advice. It says we advocate caution when buying stocks right now. Typically, we're going to look for a green light right here. We don't have a green light today. We didn't have one yesterday. So we're like right now, you're going to use caution. The best time would be to wait for a green light. And that's how simple it could be. Just wait for a green light here and you buy when the market follows through the next day. That's all the time I really have to discuss the market part of the buying signal. But let's go over and take a look at the stocks. We have a thing called the stock viewer. Okay, so here in the stock viewer, you notice we're tracking about 9,000 stocks right now. What you're looking at here, of those 9,000, the ones at the top of this list are the ones that have the best combination of value, safety, and timing. So we are looking here at the top 20. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph them. And we're just going to flip through the graphs, and we're only going to spend about 3 seconds on each one. Because I want to convince you, I want to show you how simple it could be to find stocks that you like that meet the buying criteria. Are you ready? Yes, perfect. I'm going to hit graph. This is a 1-year chart, and all we are looking at here is price and earnings at the bottom. I'm going to flip through them very quickly. Let me just shrink this right-hand side. That way you can see it a little bit better. Price and earnings. And of these 20, I bet, and I'm going to make you a bet right now, that you're going to have at least, let's say, 5 that you like. And we're only going to spend 2 minutes doing this. Okay? So this first one, IESC, all you're going to be looking for is try to find ones that are smooth and steady, bottom left to upper right. Okay? Price and earnings. So this is stock number 1, IESC. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Here's the next one, STRL. 1, 2, 3. EME. 1, 2, 3. FIX. 1, 2, 3. And by the way, now remember, you see that it's down today? We're not saying that you're going to go out there and buy this stock today. Remember, we talked about we don't have a green light in the market right now. We're just finding some really good candidates that when we get that green light and the market's going up, we're finding some good candidates here. Here's LWAY. 1, 2, 3. NVIDIA. I think we all know this one. All right, now this one, you see over the last, was it 2-3 months, it's gone sideways. So maybe you'd prefer one that is moving up. GAU. I'm going to go a little bit faster. SUPV. TDW. I mean, look at this. Bottom left, upper right. CRS. NRG. I mean, look at that thing. But price is good, but what is concerning here? Well, earnings is starting to fall. All right, so you might see that earnings is starting to pull back, and you might say, well, let me skip it, even though price looks beautiful. Same thing with TPC. It's okay to say, let me skip it. VIRC, you might look at this one and say, well, I'm going to skip this one as well because it's moving sideways. But then you come to BMA, and that thing's starting to go up. Earnings is really taking off. But USAP, this one might even look better to you. Rising earnings, rising price, even more steady. I got a few more here. WLDN, MLR, CLS, NGD, and then lastly, VRT. I mean, look at that thing. That's gorgeous. All right, in the chat, how many did you find? Give me a number. I thought you could find at least 5. How many did you find? Let me know in the chat. 1, 2, 3. Ted's like, I found 6. Eve says 10. John says 6, 7, 4, 5. Numerous, says Doug. Hey, Doug. Welcome back to another webinar. Great to have you here. Mike says 5. Jim says 7. So I'm just going to ask you, how is this different from how you've been picking stocks? I'm going to give you some choices, right? Just to make it easy. Is it slower or faster? Is it easier or harder? Did it make sense or was it confusing? So in the chat, like slower or faster, easier, harder, make sense or confusing? Ted's like, much faster, very easy. Eve says, all of them. Faster, says Peter. D says, fast and easy. Faster, 10 times, says Jim. Faster, easier, and a little fun, says John. Yeah. So, by the way, if you like that tool, now some of you, I know Doug uses this tool in the chat, but if you like that tool, I'll show you in a little bit how you could try it out for like 99 cents. So if you want to try it out, I'll show you here in a little bit. So hang out for about 5 or 10 minutes. I'll show you how, if you don't use that tool, you could just check it out. I happen to love it. I don't know what I'd do without it. Dennis is like, yeah, I use that tool too. So I want you to decide for yourself. Like, you should want to do things quicker rather than be overwhelmed. And using that checklist to pick your stocks, you'll have much more confidence and you'll save so much time, especially if you use the right tool like the one I just showed you. Okay, let's put this all together into a 10-minute management plan. This is the same plan that we teach our clients. And one of our clients, Yu King, he told us he went from feeling emotionally drained, anxious, and uncertain about managing his stock portfolio to where he is stress-free and confident. Now, he did write to us and he told us, he said, I used to really love investing, but the dot-com bubble really affected me. Emotionally, I was drained. I lost a lot of money. For about 20 years, I kept my money in the bank and in 401k. I couldn't handle the roller coaster of uncertainty and the anxiety of watching my stocks. After the COVID crash and the resurgence of the market, I wanted to get back in. The successful investor strategy was just what I needed: what to buy, and when to sell. It opened my eyes to a whole new way of investing. So he mentioned a strategy of what to buy, and when to sell. Take out a piece of paper. That's actually the 3 parts of our plan here. So on a piece of paper, write down in a 3x3 grid, we've got when to buy, and when to sell. Those are the 3 parts of our plan. Remember, and by the way, this is your 10-minute plan, your 10-minute nightly plan that you could follow. Okay, so we're going to go through each row. In that first box, it's all about your market entry. This is the market signal telling you that it is okay to buy stocks. Now, this is where some people use moving averages on the S&P, like a short term being above the long term. If that's what you do, that you would put that in the box. Again, it's a little slow and it doesn't give you a daily signal. I'm going to put in here GLB for green light buyer. Okay, that's the thing that I showed you on the home page of VectorVest a little while ago. That's why I put GLB in there. Next up, we've got 2 other things. Oop, things are going out of order here. I'm just going to put them all on here. There we go. That way you can get ahead of the game, because I know, looking at my clock, I must have been a little wordy today. So here, I'm just going to go through all 9 of them here. So you've got the market entry. That's our green light buyer. Okay. Now, you want the market to be going up, all right? But you also want the market to be going up that day. Like, so this is the longer term. This is the trend. This is that day. And you also want your stock to be going up. Okay, so when you're looking at your entries, you're going to see, all right, do I have an uptrend in the market? Yes or no? All right, well, if you have that uptrend in the market, is the market rising on the day I want to buy? Yes or no? If it is, you're going to look for make sure the stock that you want to buy, to make sure it is going up as well. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the what to buy section, because we spent time earlier. This is the 3-part checklist that we just looked at. And now the third row, these are your exits, because there's going to come a time where the market stops going up. We also have a signal called a confirmed down. I'm going to put C/DN. That stands for confirmed down. Now, some people use that signal to go completely into cash. For our successful investor system, we use that signal to tighten our stops. And basically, we're not buying anymore, but we've tightened our stops. And if it continues to, the market continues to fall, we eventually get to more and more of a cash position. Each trade, now we didn't have a lot of time to talk about these other 2, but each trade will have a stop loss on it. Now here in VectorVest, if I show you really quick, we have see this column that says stop? Each stock will have a stop, and we just use that, right? So we use a stop. And now we don't, as far as profit objective, we don't sell just because it hits like a 10% gain, but we tighten our stops when we hit certain levels. But you have to have that in mind when you plan out the trade from the very beginning. Okay? That's the 10-minute routine. So what you're going to do is, on a nightly basis, you're going to come in here and check your portfolio, right? So you're going to say, all right, let me start here on the when to sell. Do I have a market signal to tell me to tighten stops? No? All right. Let me check each of my stocks to see if any of the stops have been met, or if I need to adjust my stops. All right. From there, you swing up to when to buy. Do I have a buying signal? If you do, you build a shopping list of candidates. You find a list of candidates, you plan out the trade, you say, all right, well, where's my stop going to be? What's my profit objective going to be? And then you come swing back up to the top and see if the market is rising for your entry. All right. By doing that, Yu King wrote back to us and he said, hey, I've been using this successful investor strategy for about a year now. I've placed 49 trades, so he's not trading a lot. He had 35 winners, and he had an incredible 102% gain. Right? We target 15%, so he well outperformed that. He says, I know when I'm getting in, but more importantly, when I'm getting out, and my risk is controlled, and that makes for much better sleep at night. He says, I used to panic and sell if there was a down day. Not anymore. I know how to let my winners run and exactly when to cut my losers. Now, you showed up today probably for a few reasons. Some of you as a refresher because you're already VectorVest clients and you're already using the tool. But maybe you're not satisfied with your results. Like, let's say you're not a VectorVest client and you showed up today and you're like, hey, I'm not satisfied with my results. I want to improve. I'm getting buried with data. I don't know where to find my stocks. I'm getting these newsletters and emails, and I'm just getting confused. Maybe your results have been up and down, and you're tired of the roller coaster ride. It might be a combination of everything, and you just don't have the confidence in yourself that you can actually buy stocks and they'll go up. Maybe you're doing okay right now, and you just want to get better. But even if you are doing okay right now, think about how much money you could or even should be making. I hope today you saw a few things. It's possible that you can get your answers quickly, using the right tools and using a checklist. Number two, by doing that, you can invest confidently and not have to rely on the gurus out there who tell you to buy stocks that are falling. And you can get consistent gains in less than 10 minutes a night when you have the right plan. And that's the main thing. To be a successful investor, you need a system that works. Your system determines your success. And right at the start, I promised I'd give you everything I could. And at the end, I'd show you where to go to get more help. Well, this is where to go. I'll show you how to get access to that tool. So if you're not using that tool right now, I'll give you a link in here in just about a minute or two to get it, to try it for 99 cents. Okay? And but we don't just give you that tool and say good luck. I'm going to show you that I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan to use that tool and become a better investor over time. So the obvious question that you're probably asking right now is, all right, well, how do I create this type of system in my portfolio? Well, of course you have a choice. Some of you might say, well, I'm going to do it alone. I'll leave today's webinar. And that was great. I learned a lot. Maybe put some of the things you learned together, learn by trial and error. But I'm afraid you might continue to make those mistakes. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to choose to do what I did and what Yu King did. And that's to use a system that gets you right to the solution. Why do all the work on your own when there's a system that's already done most of the work for you? All right, it's used by tens of thousands of people across the world right now. Okay, now in the tool, we've actually built in a little quick start course. The course is designed so that you can consistently outperform the market in as little as 10 minutes a day. It expands on everything that we just talked about today. It comes with the software. Before I get to that, I want to point something out. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Albert Einstein said everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. It's important that you understand it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect results in the next 24 hours. It's serious. It requires some effort on your part. If you're not going to commit to doing some work, then don't do it. You should just leave the webinar now. It's not some magic pill where you swallow it and lose 10 pounds overnight, right? This is for serious people who take their investing seriously, who are willing to put time in to learn it. But over time, you'll see more money, more security, and more freedom. All right, that's why we put together this quick start course for you. I'm just going to really just tell you really quick about it. It's for serious people who want a simple way to buy the right stocks at the right time, right? To remove the frustration and anxiety from managing your portfolio. It goes through that 5 steps that we just talked about today. Remember those 5 steps in that little triangle? Each of the 5 parts of this quick start course match up with one of the things that we teach in those 5 steps. The first one is we'll teach you the stock analysis system, where you'll be able to quickly determine whether a stock is a good or a bad investment. You'll know exactly what to look for. Number 2, we'll teach you when to sell. The reason that's important is because you need to minimize losses in your trading. We'll walk you through the exact steps you need to take right now to get rid of the stocks that are hurting your portfolio right now. We'll show you exactly what to do and where to set stops on new positions. Number 3, we'll show you what to look for to know when it is okay to buy a new position. Hint, we looked at a green light today. That's a perfect time. All right, so at this point, you've gotten the bad stocks out of your portfolio. You know when it's a good time to buy new ones. So in step number 4, we're going to walk you through how to find the best stocks. And we're going to give you our top 2, we call them cherry picking techniques to find stocks. I showed you very quickly one of them today, and hopefully you wrote down some ticker symbols. And then lastly, we'll put it all together into a 10-minute plan. By learning this, at the end of this quick start course, you'll have a simple step-by-step system to buy and sell stocks, manage your portfolio in 10 minutes a day, and consistently outperform the market over time. All right, so when I used to teach this live, I know this is live, but when I used to teach this one-on-one with people, we would charge like $95 an hour. So that's why the value is $475. Those of you who don't have VectorVest right now, we're going to give you 30 days of access to the tool. I showed you a glimpse of what it looked like earlier. You're going to get access to that for the next 30 days. All right, you'll have access to the course right inside of it. It'll, in fact, this is, remember the tool? This was the tool right inside the course on the training tab. This is that quick start course. It's built right into the tool, so you can go right through it. Okay, and like 1 month of VectorVest, if you choose to continue with the tool afterwards, it's like between $69 and $149, but you could try it out for the next 30 days for 99 cents. You're also going to be able to come to our live coaching sessions every Thursday because we want to help you apply that content. So we're going to be there with you every Thursday. And if you can't make it to a live session, you'll get the recordings. Okay? So all you got to do, go to VectorVest.com/10 right now. All right, we'll put that link into the chat for you. Just VectorVest.com/10. We'll put that link into the chat for you. If you want to join us, and we'll take you by the hand. Actually, let me put that link into the chat here, www.VectorVest.com/10. All right, so click the link into the chat, or you can type it in your browser. Todd and we're co-coaches. We're going to take you by the hand, help you fix your portfolio. We're going to plug in this system that consistently works. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars with gurus out there, spend 99 cents for the next month with us, and we'll help you fix it. Like, let us prove it to you that it works. Now, you might be thinking, 99 cents, right? 99 cents. Are you serious? What's the catch? There's got to be a catch. Nope, no catch. In fact, Doug is in the chat, and Todd just shared it with everybody. Doug is one of our clients. He's in today's webinar. He says, great presentation, Brian. This stuff works, folks. Highly recommended by a satisfied user. In fact, some of you who might be watching this when it comes out on a recording, I'm just going to put that. Let me just show that to everybody really quick. Now, this just came into the chat just now from Doug. This stuff really works. So we want to show you over the next 30 days that you can do this. You can do this. We want to make sure that we help you fix your portfolio and turn things around at little cost to you. Let us prove it to you. 99 cents will at least tell us that you're serious. Because you're putting some skin into the game, right? You're putting some skin into the game. It's just 99 cents. And if you want to continue using VectorVest and the coaching afterwards, great. We would love it. But let's work together for the next 30 days and turn things around for you. That's our plan. 5 lessons, which you can access immediately right from the VectorVest program. It is a self-paced course. You can access it today. All right? We're going to be there with you every week on a live Q&A coaching call. You can ask questions. We'll make sure you're on the right track. Plus, I got an extra bonus for you. How about this? I like to reward people who do act fast. Okay? I want to give you a head start. I already went through a bunch of graphs for you and handpicked a list of stocks that have smooth, steady rising prices and earnings. I also recorded a video showing you how to put those stocks into a watch list within the software. If you just send me an email after you complete your order, now it's got to be in the next 60 minutes. If you send me an email in the next 60 minutes, I will personally respond to you with a link so that you can have the list of stocks and that video. My email is just Brian D. Right, I'll put it into the chat too. BRIAND at VectorVest.com. Right? Now don't spam me, right? Right. So, but you got to email me in the next 60 minutes. I like to reward people who act fast. So if you take out the trial in the next 60 minutes, just send me an email and say, hey, Brian, I took out the trial. You could tell me what your username is or something. And so I can know what your account is. I don't want to know your password. Please don't send me your password. But just ask for the list of stocks. Okay. So there's my email. Go to VectorVest.com/10. Along with Doug, I mean, we've got a ton of other happy people who are using VectorVest. Just a few examples of people who have had success with it. Ajibi said, since following the steps in this course, my portfolios are up 22%. These are my retirement portfolios, 4 in total. And the improvement, as I'm sure you can understand, is very important. Amelia says, everything is super info. It gave me the insight about investing, buying stocks, knowing when and what to buy and when to exit. Fantastic lessons in one place. Blaine says, VectorVest has been an amazing experience for me and my family. I have earned 15% in the last 6 weeks and have learned so much. I wish I had found you guys 20 years ago. You have made investing easier, simpler, and fun. Melody says, in the last 3 weeks, after pruning my portfolio, which, by the way, that's taught in lesson 2 of the Quick Start course, I'm up about 9%. Before doing this, I had an overall portfolio loss. My confidence in my investing decisions I have more confidence in my investing decisions. It is simple and easy to follow if you take the time to learn the process. Pierre says, I'm now able to make my own choices rationally, not emotionally. I feel really confident. I know how to build a list of stocks to buy, how to size my trades correctly, and how to set and update my stops. And lastly, Ray says, huge time saver. Your system brings a definitive clarity to the underlying markets, which I haven't seen in any other products. Your system saves a lot of time in trying to figure out what the bipolar Mr. Market is trying to tell us every day. Now, oh, by the way, some of you did remind me to put the PDF into the chat. I'll put the PDF into the handouts area. It's in GoToWebinar. If you're watching on YouTube, just contact our office and they can get you the PDF. Again, go to VectorVest.com/10 to place your order. It's just 99 cents. I mean, earlier I asked you how much those mistakes you've been making have been costing you. Remember those 4 mistakes? I think one of you said 6,000. Another person said it was in the 6 digits. If you totaled those losses, how much do you think it would total? And if that number is equivalent to more than 99 cents, I think it's a no-brainer just to try this out for the next 30 days. Let's make it so you never have to experience a portfolio collapse ever again, and you have confidence in what you're doing. All right. 2024 is going to be the year you turn things around. And by the way, if you want your 99 cents back after the trial, just ask for it. We'll give you back your 99 cents. We're very confident you're going to love what you get. If you do the work, you're going to see the results. Keep in mind, you are not locked into any contracts with us. I mean, that's my plan. 5 lessons. You can access them right from within the VectorVest software. You can access to the software right now. It is a self-paced course. You can review it as many times as you want. Plus, I'm there with you. Todd's there with you every week on a live Q&A coaching call. You can ask whatever questions you want. We can make sure you're on the right track. Simply go to VectorVest.com/10. You'll see a page that looks like what you see here on the screen, and simply just click on Get Started. And if you do that in the next 60 minutes, just send me an email to get the list of that fast action bonus. Okay? Now, once you click on that Get Started button, you're going to see a page that looks like this. Right? I recommend choosing the premium one. Right? They're all 99 cents, right? But hey, if you can get the premium version for 99 cents, you might as well do that. Now, somebody was asking in the chat, what does it cost after the 30 days? Well, if you do want to continue after the 30 days, there's 3 plans, $69, $99, $149 US dollars. I suggest during your trial, you choose this gives you real-time data. Choose the premium version. You could always change that later if you want. Again, you would select all those things when you go to vectorvest.com/10. Okay, I'm going to stick around and answer whatever questions you've got. Okay, whether it's about the service here at VectorVest, the offer that I just presented to you, whatever. And remember, if you order in the next 60 minutes, simply send me an email at briand@vectorvest.com. After you place your order, I'll personally reply back to you. Give me about 24 hours to reply back because there might be a bunch. But I'll reply back to you personally with the hand-picked list of stocks, with the link to the video that shows you how to put those stocks into a watch list. But you do need to send me that list, so that request in the next 60 minutes. I do want to thank you for being here today. I mean, you've dedicated about an hour of your day to improve yourself as an investor. It's been an honor to do that for you, to be here with you. And thank you for your time today. And we look forward to having you use VectorVest and working with you. So I'm going to stick around, answer whatever questions you've got. So in the chat, I know Todd has been answering a lot of questions in the chat. So I might not need to answer many questions at all. But if you have a question in the chat, let me know. I'm going to put a little flag over here. Just let me know what you've got and I'll answer it for you. If you did ask a question like 10 minutes ago and I missed it, please just type it into the chat now or just copy and paste it and I'll be glad to help you out. All right, so the first one was from Tom, which was, what does it cost after the 30 days? I showed that on the previous slide. There you go. So remember, for the 30 days, it's 99 cents. All right. After the 30 days, it'll automatically convert to whichever one you select. All right, so you could choose $69, $99, or $149. And you could change that. Just give our team a call. If you choose not to continue, that's fine. We'd be surprised because we love the VectorVest software. But if you choose not to continue, just either shoot us an email or give us a call, and we'll take care of that request as well. Ted says, did I give the PDF? Yes, I put it into the handouts area. So right above where you typed to me, Ted, right above where you typed that, there's a handouts area inside of GoToWebinar. It'll say Trading Plan Outline PDF. And you just click on that. It'll go to your downloads folder probably. If you're listening in on the YouTube stream, if you just call or email our office and ask for the trading plan outline from today's webinar, they can get it over to you. Ted says, got it. Thank you for everything. You're welcome, Ted. Narendra says, do I need to change my brokerage account? Great question. VectorVest is not a broker, so you will still use your own broker. Okay. I use a couple of different brokers. My main trading account, well, it is now with Schwab because Schwab took over TD Ameritrade, but I still have that as a brokerage. I have a broker, some stocks in with Fidelity. So yeah, you will still need your own broker. Okay. Let's see. Olaid says, do we have to call in to change the subscription plan? You can call or email. Our email is just support@vectorvest.com. It depends on who you are. And my personal style is I like calling everybody. So I call companies just so I could talk to somebody. But you could email us and then we'll write back to you. Narendra says, can I get a copy of this webinar? What we'll try to do is get a recording out to you by tomorrow. Okay. Robert says, so coaching is available in the 30 days in all packages. All right. Yes. Okay. Your question had to sink into my brain. Yes. So during your trial for the next 30 days, on Thursdays, we meet with our coaching group. So tomorrow is Thursday, right? So if you order today, you could actually call in, log into our university tomorrow, and you'll have access to our, you might want to call our office and we can show you how to do this. Pardon me. But you would just go to university.vectorvest.com and there's a link in there to access to our coaching room. In fact, I could just show you here really quick. So after you order your trial, you will log into university.vectorvest.com. Now, remember, this is not the software. Like, this is where you would go to get the weekly coaching. Go to university.vectorvest.com and you would see a page that looks like this, because you would be in our successful investor group. All you would have to do is click on this button right here that says coaching room, and it would give you access to the coaching room. And we go live every Thursday at noon Eastern. Okay. All right. Yeah, Keith, I would say check it out for the next 30 days. Right? It's 99 cents for the next 30 days. You can make a decision on going from there. I guarantee over the next 30 days, what you'll learn will help you become a better investor, regardless of whether you continue using VectorVest after the 30 days. Okay. Now, keep in mind, we're going to teach you a system that'll generate, on average, 15% per year. Some years will be higher, some years lower. Some people well outperform that. Like you saw, Yu King made 100%. That is an outlier. All right, I'm just going to say that. That was a great year, an outlier. We've got, like, one of the testimonials was from Pierre. Like, he was 20 to 30%, I believe, last year, he said. Right? 15% is what our target is. So whatever your trading account is, you just could do the math. Let's say you have a $10,000 account and you made 15%. All right, well, that's $1,500 a year. That's double what the basic subscription is. All right, so that it would pay for it. Peter, great question. Peter says, are Canadian stocks available with this trial? Yeah, so if you live in Canada, well, it doesn't matter if you live in Canada or not. When you get access to this trial, when you first log in, let me just show you really quick. When you log in, you'll be presented with a screen that looks like this. So I happen to have logged into the US version. But if you want to look at the Canadian stocks, you just click on the Canadian flag and log in, and you could look at the Canadian stocks. You could then log in again and look at the US stocks. You could have both of them open at the same time. Okay? If you need to talk to a member of our team, the phone number is 888-658-7638. I just put that phone number into the chat. I'll try to write it up here on the screen as well. 888-658-7638. You're really taxing me on my writing skills. I think I got that right. Todd, if I messed up that phone number, let me know. 888-658-7638.
Well, I noticed how you had to squinch to get it in on the white part of the screen.
Everybody, that's Todd, by the way. That's Todd Schaefer. He's the Batman of the coaching that we do every Thursday. So when you come to our coaching on Thursday, which is tomorrow, you're going to primarily hear Todd doing a lot of the coaching. Todd and I work together hand in hand every Thursday. So you'll hear his voice quite a bit, not just a floating voice in the ether like you just heard there.
And we do like to tease, although my handwriting, had I tried to do that with a mouse, you probably wouldn't even be able to recognize the numbers.
I probably should do better and just have like a notepad or something and type it, or even have it up on the screen. But
you need to buy us those telescript pads.
I know. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. Are we not a technology company? Come on.
I know. Let's see. Adeyemi says, what's next after the subscription? I'm not sure what you mean. What's next? I mean, you just have a subscription to VectorVest after the 30 days. If you choose to continue on with the subscription, you have the software access, depending on what level you choose. We have the weekly coaching that comes with the premium version. And then throughout the year, we've actually been doing some free courses, which, by the way, I probably shouldn't say this, but we're going to be doing here in the next month or so for all of our members, a free retirement course. All right. So in June, if you are a member of VectorVest, we will do a free retirement course that we used to charge $995 for, free for our members. So it's another benefit of starting your trial today, because you'd be considered a member and you could register for that course next month. Is a free retirement course. Check it out. And then later on this year, we're going to do another free, we have a successful investor course, which is think of the quick start course as much more detailed in a version called we call it the full successful investor course. That's something to look forward to that our members get for free later on this year. So things to look forward to as a VectorVest member. But it all starts with your 99-cent trial. So just go to vectorvest.com/10 and get started today. All right. I'm looking back to see if I missed any questions. If I did, I apologize. Just quickly type it. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to type it into the chat and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to start to wrap things up for the day. So in the chat.
Count slowly. I'm waiting for Oscar to give me some contact info.
All right. I'm going to count backwards. No. All right. So Oscar is giving us some information in the chat. So I think, Oscar, we're asking you for your phone number, I think. And so you could just give us that to us. Other than that, you got about 30 seconds, everybody. And Todd, I'll grab Oscar's email address, and looks like I can grab that from the chat, and I'll just send it over to you. We could reach out to Oscar via email. Oh, cool, Oscar. Thank you very much for giving us your email and your phone number. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We look forward to working with you over the next 30 days and hopefully beyond that. We think you're really going to learn a lot during this next 30 days. And if you continue on with VectorVest, we think that's going to be a great decision for you. You'll join the ranks of tons of our other clients who have seen tremendous results. But remember, you got to do some work. Okay? It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put in the work, you will see the results. All right? VectorVest.com/10. Go there now. This 99-cent offer, I forgot to mention this. The 99-cent offer is only good for a week, and then it goes back to a $10 trial, so you could save yourself $10 and try it out for the next week just for 99 cents. But again, if you order in the next 60 minutes, just shoot me an email and I'll get you a list of stocks. All right. Everybody, have a blessed rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you at the next coaching. And thanks for being here. Bye, everybody.